The complicity of the community is very important. You have to know that everyone is in on the scam. As with any system, it cannot work without the complicity of the community. Some of these men have families. They will introduce you to their woman and tell you, she's my sister. The entire family will go along with it because you about to be their next meal ticket. You about to finance educations, a home, food, clothing, a whole new lifestyle and way of being. And the family is willing to make the sacrifice, especially in cultures where having more than one wife is acceptable and even expected. Hey there, fashion lovers. Are you ready to explore Nairobi's fashion scene like a local? Join me, your personal wardrobe stylist, on an unforgettable fashion tour that will take you off the beaten path. Skip the malls and crowded Maasai markets and let's go where market vendors purchase products wholesale. Then we'll experience hidden gems and the best eclectic boutiques in Nairobi, followed by lunch at one of the city's best farm-to-table restaurants. As an experienced wardrobe stylist, I will provide you with personalized style advice and help you find the perfect ensembles to match your personality and taste. You'll also get the opportunity to meet local designers and learn about their creative processes. If you're an adventurous traveler who enjoys unique and beautiful things, this half-day fashion tour was created for you. I've already discovered the best and most eclectic so you can avoid tourist traps. Whether you're a fashion enthusiast or simply looking for a fun and informative way to experience Nairobi, our eclectic fashion tour is the perfect choice. Book your spot now via Airbnb experiences and get ready to indulge in Nairobi's unique fashion culture. Welcome to BLAXIT to Africa. I'm Tadre Delora Moignier, a California native living my best life in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for coming along for the ride. I hope that you are informed, entertained, and inspired to BLAXIT to Africa. I am recording this episode for the second time. The first time I recorded it, I was on location in Nanyuki and the quality was not great. Being the perfectionist that I am, I decided to take down the original video and record and edit a second time. Let's hope that this recording is better than the last. On this episode, I am discussing beach boys, rent-a-rastas, rent-a-dreds, gigolos, prostitutes, male sex workers, whatever you choose to call them in your part of the world. In East Africa, they are known as beach boys. I was deeply triggered by an incident that occurred involving one of my favorite podcasters, Demetria L. Lucas of Ratchet and Respectable. Long story short, she is African American and has been slow traveling through Africa for over a year. She booked accommodations at a beachside resort in Mozambique. Lucas detailed in the episode entitled Unhinged how she met an attractive man at a resort while lounging poolside. They had drinks, conversation, and walked on the beach. Later, she retired to her room after turning down his offer for further interaction. She fell asleep with the door open due to the heat and humidity, heard a noise in the dark, walked to her door, and was accosted by the beach boy she met earlier at the pool. Expectedly, she feared for her safety, called the owner of the resort, the police got involved, and the beach boy proceeded to stalk her to the point of her having to temporarily deactivate her social media. The beach boy has his own take on the story. He speaks of a romance and deep connection and says that it wasn't his intention to scare or harm her. I was extremely triggered. I had to pause the episode numerous times because I too have had more troubling experiences with beach boys than I care to recall. But I feel compelled to speak on this because there are tons of thousands of people, if not millions, that get caught up with sex workers, believing that is genuine love, thinking that they are slicker than the predator, myself included. In the end, there is a great deal of irreparable harm done. This episode is not for sex tourists. This episode is not for predators and those seeking to exploit others in need. This episode is for people who simply want to go on vacation and experience a new place without being exploited for sex, money, a visa, etc. I realize that there are people who look forward to tasting the sexual menu in each locale they visit. I personally know a few of these people. This episode is not for you. So what is a beach boy? There are different terms to describe a beach boy. You may have heard of rent-a-rasta, rent-a-dread, gigolo, prostitute, or simply sex worker. Let me be clear, he doesn't have to have locks to be considered a rent-a-rasta or a beach boy. Of course, there are sex workers all over the world of all genders. However, there seems to be more stigma placed on female sex workers. In East Africa, male sex workers can mix and mingle in places where female sex workers are denied entry and access. Let me tell you a little story just to drive the point home. I moved to Jambiani, Zanzibar in January 2018. I made some new musician friends from the mainland that frequently played gigs at different venues on the island. Because we were staying in the same lodge, I overheard them talking about what a shame it was that Black women were not welcome at Damali Lodge. Damali Lodge was co-owned by a Swiss woman and her former beach boy hubby. Every Thursday, they would have live music and a barbecue. Management had decided that they would deny any Black women that attempted to enter without a male escort. This was their way of curbing sex workers in their establishment. However, no such rule was extended for male sex workers. I can assure you that a marijuana pimp and male sex workers frequented the place on a weekly basis. Ask me how I know. Once I heard this news, I was like, no wonder, because when I would try to enter, the bouncer would give me a hard time. All the while, white men and women could enter freely without harassment. When I voiced my opinion to my male friends, they were like, well, Tadre, these women, they're really annoying. And the male sex workers are not. So I posted about this on my social media. It got back to the owners and they denied the policy. They had to because it made them look really bad. But I knew the truth because I had experienced the backlash of their policy firsthand. Where to find beach boys, or rather, where they will find you. You can find beach boys in any coastal town or village in Africa. However, they are not restricted to beach locales. They exist in any area where tourists flock. Most leave their humble towns and villages to take advantage of human prospects, as in the case of the brief tryst I had with a beach boy from Bagamoyo, Tanzania. But more on that later. I mentioned rent-a-rastas earlier. This is a term that was originally reserved to describe male sex workers in Jamaica. As adults, we know that sex workers exist all over the world. Because this is BLAXIT to Africa, I'm going to focus on the beach boys in Africa, specifically East Africa, because that's where my personal experience lies. Now, you don't have to look for a beach boy. He will find you. It's his job to be exactly where you are. In Zanzibar, every night of the week, they would frequent the venues where they knew Mzungus would hang. Mzungu means foreigner in Kiswahili. Monday to Sunday, there was a consistent calendar of events. The establishments didn't compete with each other in order to maximize their profits. So you could count on Crazy Mondays at Red Monkey, Jumbo Beach Party every Friday, etc. And your favorite beach boy will be there fishing for his next catch, unless he already had a fish on the hook and was busy playing tour guide. On her dime, of course. Beach boys are usually handsome, though not always. They usually have locks, though that's not a requirement. They are fake-ass Rastas. In Zanzibar, you'll find that they are fake Rastas full-time and Muslim during Ramadan. The only way you'll know that they are Muslim is because they'll typically fast during Ramadan. A Muslim name will also give it away. They are fluent in your language, just like hospitality workers. They speak English, French, Italian, a bit of German, etc. Whatever they gotta do to get the job done. They are dressed in a way that appeals to you. You may find that the people in this area are not dressed fashionably, but the beach boy will always look good, like a peacock to attract his mark. For example, they have a good understanding of how young European men present. They've learned some of the lingo and the popular music, so when you meet him, he won't be so foreign to you. He will present as familiar. They will grow locks and lift weights because they know that foreign women want the Mandingo fantasy. I've often seen the most physically attractive men with white women. Their entire presentation is based on what they know you want and expect in a man. They are aggressive. They know that they have a limited amount of time to catch you and make you fall in love. They don't fall back, play it cool, or hang in the cut. They are in your face and extremely annoying. One of their goals is to disrupt your itinerary and replace it with their agenda. Who is vulnerable to beach boys? The most vulnerable people are women, specifically women who are starved for attention. If you are a woman who has never had romantic love reciprocated or expressed to you, you will be vulnerable to a beach boy. If you are not accustomed to receiving a great deal of male attention, you will be vulnerable to beach boys. They say all the things you want to hear and they love bomb you from jump. It's hard to resist what you may feel is love in a tropical paradise. Beach boys engage in situational sex. They will use sexual techniques on Mzungus that they wouldn't ordinarily use with a woman of their community. Some hetero-presenting beach boys will engage in homosexual sex. So why do beach boys exist? Poverty, lack of opportunities, trauma, personality. Because let's be real, not everyone in poverty and lacking opportunities will become a sex worker. There are experiences and ways of knowing that will drive a person to choose this life path, even if only temporarily. How do they operate? It's very simple. They go where you are. They tread the path of least resistance. As mentioned earlier, they dress to attract you. They love bomb you. They speak your language and will attempt your accent as much as possible. Sometimes they will borrow from their boys to get enough money to take you out. Once they have you hooked, you will be paying for everything. In Zanzibar, for example, they will take you to places where they know the staff and can get things for free or on credit until they actually score and are able to pay back what they spent. On the surface, it looks like he's got a source of income and is being a gentleman. In reality, he's just biding his time. If he does his job right, you will be paying for every experience, every sip of beer, every morsel he eats. I had two friends, intelligent, accomplished businesswomen whom I admired traveled to Jamaica from the US on separate vacations. They both came back talking about how they was in love. It was the same story for both of them. He was such a gentleman. He introduced me to his family and friends. I didn't have to pay for anything. The unilateral romance continued when they returned to the US because that is always the Beach Boys' initial plan. Sooner rather than later, homie starts requesting a new phone, and then the requests become more and more expensive. Some women get so caught up that they only return home to collect their things. Others decide they will never return home and strive to build a life in their new tropical paradise. But the beach boy will continue to pressure her to take him with her to the global north. The one I was involved with will wake up every morning and say, "You must be hungry. What would you like to eat?" Then he would shower and dress. When he was ready to leave, he'd ask me for money for food and beverages. Because I was new to the island, I didn't understand the value of the currency or how much things cost. So I would give him the amount he requested. He might bring back a little change. Once I began living there and understanding what things actually cost, I realized old boy was putting gas in his little scooter, purchasing phone and internet bundles, and doing whatever else he wanted with that money. Now in the US, I was not in the habit of giving a man money to purchase food for us to share, particularly if it was a new relationship. But because I sympathized that there were less opportunities in Zanzibar and because I was blessed, I rationalized this behavior. I was getting played, but I'll get to that later. What do Beach Boys want? At minimum, they want your body. At maximum, they want a visa to your country and for you to finance their lifestyle and dreams. In Zanzibar, I have seen many a beach boy transition to becoming a lodge owner, landowner, homeowner, restaurant owner, bar owner, etc. At the end of the day, they'll take a beer, food excursions, really anything that they can get for free. The complicity of the community is very important. You have to know that everyone is in on the scam. As with any system, it cannot work without the complicity of the community. Some of these men have families. They will introduce you to their woman and tell you, "She's my sister." The entire family will go along with it because you about to be their next meal ticket. You about to finance educations, a home, food, clothing, a whole new lifestyle and way of being. And the family is willing to make the sacrifice, especially in cultures where having more than one wife is acceptable and even expected. Your naive ass coming up in there is a jackpot. You will know all they little homies. They'll start referring to you as their sister or sister-in-law immediately. It'll be flattering at first because in the global north, such titles are not tossed around lightly. But in reality, the homies will be eating off you too. Even if it's just a beer, their homie, your new man, will use your money to buy rounds of drinks for the whole crew. The homies also have their own rackets going. So when they see one homie win, it gives them fuel to keep going. When Beach Boys marry an Mzungu and post on social media, all his little cronies chime in the comments talking about "congrats bro" and "real love," knowing good and well that the only person in love is you. A dead giveaway is when the only people that show up from his side are his homies. No siblings, parents, aunts, and uncles will be invited because it's not real to him. He will not want to involve his family in the bullshit he is brewing. The staff at the lodge, resort, or hotel know him well. They may have even grown up with him. They know how he operates and they don't care. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they got a cut on the back end. How can a beach boy harm you? The illusion of love. We all want to be loved for who we are. No one wants to be in love alone. And to realize that it was all a lie can break your heart. I mentioned the two women in Jamaica that fell in love with rent-a-dreds. First, they really didn't have the resources to send these men the things that they were asking for. Second, it was a disruption when they were trying to figure out how to bring these men to the U.S., how to get back down to Jamaica to see them, how to make a long-distance relationship work. In the end, it was heartbreaking. The preference for white women. Know that there is an Mzungu hierarchy. At the top is the white Mzungu. At the bottom is the black Mzungu. Yes, they'll slum with middle and upper class black women from South Africa, Europe, and the Americas, but what they really want is a white woman from wherever. If he is with a black woman, no matter how much money she has, he will drop her to get with the ultimate prize, a white woman. Story time again. I had just arrived in Zanzibar. I was staying at a humble lodge. The lodge owner, in his early 30s, a former beach boy whose wife was a middle-aged European woman, invited me out for the evening. He took me to Jambo Beach Party on the east side of the island. The music was good before they started playing Eurotrash, but that's another story. I spotted a Maasai who had the type of energy I liked, and he was handsome with a nice build. He was really getting it on the dance floor. So I rode up on him and I started grooving. I did a little spin, and when I turned back around, the man was gone. It takes a lot to embarrass me, so I chuckled to myself, shrugged it off, kept dancing by myself until the song ended. So the lodge owner came over to me and asked me what happened. I told him that I didn't know what ran him off. The lodge owner had a conversation with the Maasai and comes back to tell me that the Maasai said that he was there for an Mzungu. He didn't have time for me. The lodge owner said, "She is an Mzungu. She's a black Mzungu." The Maasai said, "I want a white Mzungu." The only time you see beach boys with black women is during low season. In Zanzibar, I would see young single mothers from the mainland hustling in hospitality. I often wondered if the fathers were some of the beach boys. Beach boys are depressed during low season because there is no prey. All the Mzungus leave the island. You'll find them at bars, sulking, pouting, waiting for tourists to return. So how do you avoid and thwart a beach boy? Rewind, go back and listen to how to spot a beach boy. The easiest way is to tell him you have a partner and that your partner is traveling with you. They just happen to be sleeping or in their room, something like that. If he insists on spending time with you and you like his company, get him to spend his own money on each and every occasion and see how long he sticks around. Look him in the eye and tell him you're not interested and be firm about it. You can say something like, "This feels like sexual harassment. I don't feel safe." Now let's go back to what happened to one of my favorite podcasters. I do not want to make her the poster child of beach boy victimization. What I want to do is break down the experience to illustrate my point. She met the beach boy by the pool. Collusion. Why was he at the pool? At a resort. He didn't work there. How did he gain access to the resort? Security and the bartenders knew him well and allowed him to do what he does. She had drinks with him. They went for a walk on the beach. I am not victim shaming, but we have to know that how we operate in the global north, as in our dating rituals, is not how things are done elsewhere. As women from the global north, we can flirt, we can be alone in a man's room, we can drink and go for walks on a beach with a strange man and expect not to be sexually assaulted. We can expect a man to be respectful. This is not the case in East Africa, generally speaking. Engaging in this type of behavior sends a message to most African men that you are willing and ready for sex. The resort owner said something to her that really resonated with me. How you see yourself is not how others see you. They had a good conversation. Dude attempted to keep the evening going. She was tired and told him she might catch up with him later. While she was in her room relaxing, he was blowing up her phone. When he didn't get a response, he showed up to her room unannounced after dark. Collusion and lack of boundaries. Who the fuck let him in? You trying to tell me that security didn't give that man access? Also, dude is accustomed to having this scenario go his way. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so aggressive. He's got too much on the line. An attractive woman with money is interested in him? He wouldn't want to fuck that up. I've been in Lamu, Kenya and seen women slob down a man they just met on the beach. These men know that people tend to act out their wildest sexual fantasies while on holiday. Once she got rid of him, she called the owner. The owner and management got the police involved. Some of her followers reached out to her because they thought they might know the beach boy. Turns out they were right. They proceeded to shame him. He then took to harassing the podcaster on social media. The podcaster temporarily deactivated her social media because he kept creating new profiles from which to harass her. Zero respect. Narcissist. The beach boy attempted to restore his reputation by saying that they had a connection and it was a younger man enraptured by an older woman type of thing. So now I'll share my personal experiences with beach boys. In this fake-ass rapper scenario, I take full responsibility for ignoring the red flags and engaging with someone I thought I could handle. We'll call him Mo. It's ironic that I met Mo at Damali Lodge in Zanzibar, the same lodge that banned black women from entering without a male escort. I saw Mo playing percussion in a band and rapping. I could see that he thought he was special. Mo was taller than most Tanzanians, and he used that to his advantage. I could see that he was accustomed to having his way with women, and yet I walked into the fire anyway. I didn't anticipate him being slicker than me, and I didn't anticipate the maliciousness and disregard that would soon follow. At the time, he was living in a home that was built on land financed by his American ex-girlfriend. She purchased the plot and paid for the construction and furniture. Realizing that she had attempted to build a life with a narcissist, she put the property up for sale. More red flags. I know. Mo was an extremely skilled lover, and why wouldn't he be? I recall him showing up where I stayed unannounced and being insistent that I come outside. I declined. Ultimately, we started seeing each other. I moved to a different village about 45 minutes away. He offered to visit. Mo cut his visit short after he received an emergency call. And I put emergency in quotes. He said that one of his homies was in jail and he had to go see how he could help. I offered to go with him, since I had plans to view real estate in that area later in the week. Mo insisted he go alone. The following day, I returned to Jambiani to view property. He promised that he would help since he spoke the language. Unfortunately, he was nowhere to be found. Mo refused to pick up the phone. Y'all see where this is going. After I finished with my appointments, I asked the driver to take me to Mo's. What do you think I found when I showed up? The gate had a big stone in front of it to prevent unexpected visitors from entering. That stone had never been there before. I pushed the gate open and saw a European woman lounging by the pool. I greeted her. Mo had jumped out the pool and ran towards the house dripping wet. We exchanged words. On my way out, I told the woman to enjoy her day. That whole little situation lasted about a month. Of course, I would see him around because we lived in the same village. Sometimes I was cordial, but that was it for me. The last time I checked, Mo was living in Austria with the woman by the pool and they had a child together. He finally hit the jackpot. I used to wonder how long it would take her to realize she had married a malignant narcissist. I truly hope that she and the baby are okay. If you think you are going to come to the East African coast and lounge on the beach in your bikini, unbothered, soaking up the sun, think again. In addition to the beach boys, there's also addicts and Messiah hawkers that will disturb your peace. Your peace. The perception of a woman scantily clad in a bikini is that she is there for the taking. Africans consume foreign media, and compared to their upbringing, we are loose, sexually experienced, and free. One morning, I went for a walk on the beach. I could see the beach boy converging towards me from a distance. When he finally met up with me, he wouldn't take no for an answer. Exacerbated, I picked up a long piece of bamboo and I started to wave it at him just to keep him away from me. He thought it was funny. If you want to enjoy a moment of tranquility on the beach in East Africa, you'll have to stay at a resort, beachside hotel, or lodge. If you're on a budget, you can obtain lodging further inland and then purchase a day pass at a beachside location. They will usually have security that will prevent anyone who doesn't belong from entering the property. But while you are in the water or on the sand, you are fair game. There are times when I'm in the water and I can see all the predators either waiting for me to get out or inching towards me. On my first trip to Zanzibar, I celebrated my birthday. I went to the beach with a friend and we were approached by 3 Maasai men. Until that point, I had only seen Maasai in magazines, documentaries, and movies. I was so enthralled. Oh my goodness, I was talking to a real live Maasai, the noble warrior. I didn't know at the time that they were rent-a soldiers. They are often hired as security for various establishments. These Maasai are not the warrior class. They are hired because they make good eye candy. They are often the sweetest and wouldn't hurt a fly. So anyway, we hung out with these guys all afternoon. This is embarrassing to say. I was so ignorant. I was shocked that they had cell phones and Facebook accounts. I gave my phone number to one of the guys, and of course, he starts to send me love gifts. I blocked him several times, only for him to create new accounts and call me from new numbers. It's been 6 years, and somehow he still manages to find me. Are you ready to take the leap and make your BLAXIT to Africa? I'm an African American expat living my best life in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm here to help. Within a 1-hour organic consultation, I can guide you through the entire process, from choosing the right country to helping you settle in once you arrive. As someone who has made the journey, I understand how daunting it can be. But with my expertise, you can make your BLAXIT with ease. Don't wait another day to start living your best life. Book your consultation today and let's make your BLAXIT dreams a reality. Once I rented a lounge chair on the beach in Watamu, Kenya. The lounge area was privately managed, rustic, and not associated with any hotel or resort. The manager was supposed to watch my belongings and keep the predators at bay. When I returned to Nairobi, I started getting calls from an unknown number. The man told me his name and I couldn't remember who he was. To refresh my recollection, he sent me photos of myself frolicking in the water. Dude was supposed to provide safety and he ended up being a predator as well. He got my number from the mobile phone wallet payment information, M-Pesa. Honestly, Beach Boys are a huge reason why I left Zanzibar. I was tired of seeing the exploitation both ways and the dysfunction and devaluing of black women. Be aware. This is not Miami or California. This is not Europe. Now I understand why Jamaican resorts have a no locals policy. As unassuming tourists, you think you've met a cool Ross on the beach. He's getting you smoke and serving as a mini tour guide. Nah, he has an angle and he's going to work it. He's going to work you. I don't have a solution to this problem. Poverty, lack, and limitation is bigger than the scope of this podcast. Sex work exists everywhere. It's been said to be the oldest profession. In this case, it's not just the fact that people engage in sex work. It's the sex work coupled with the deceit, the painted illusion of love. In Brazil, they call it the girlfriend experience. Men hire sex workers and pay for the girlfriend experience. PDA, food washed, clothes washed. The issue with Beach Boys is that so many of their targets are unaware. They believe wholeheartedly that they have found true love. I've seen on numerous occasions where middle-aged women are left to raise small children on their own, bitter and resentful. My good people, learn from my cautionary tales. Keep your wits about you and eyes open. That's it for now. Thank you for joining me on this episode of BLAXIT to Africa. If you enjoyed this episode, please share and leave a review and subscribe. May you thrive. May you be inspired. May you move with love and intention. Until next time.